The first and most astonishing aspect of Russia's move lies in its timing, execution, and strategic brilliance. While the world's attention was fixed elsewhere on conflicts, economic instability, and elections, Moscow quietly prepared and then unveiled an operation that stunned even its closest observers. Russia didn't make a loud announcement or issue threats. Instead, it acted with calm precision, revealing an unexpected alliance and power strategy that no one saw coming. This wasn't a reaction to Western sanctions or global isolation. It was a proactive step that flipped the global chessboard overnight. At the center of this move was Russia's ability to play the long game. For months, maybe even years, the Kremlin had been cultivating ties with nations often overlooked by global powers. These included countries in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East that share mutual interests with Moscow, especially in energy, defense, and digital trade. The Western world underestimated these relationships, dismissing them as symbolic gestures or temporary political stunts. But in reality, Russia was laying the foundation for something much greater, an independent alliance structure that could challenge Western influence without direct confrontation. The shock came when Russia made this new partnership public, a coalition not driven by ideology but by shared economic and geopolitical interests. This alliance, still in its early stages, reportedly includes states that were once neutral in global conflicts or even considered Western-friendly. What makes this move remarkable is its balance of subtle diplomacy and strategic boldness. It didn't involve tanks crossing borders or missiles being launched. Instead, it was about building a power network based on trade, energy control, and digital cooperation, the three tools that define modern global dominance. Experts say that this coalition is designed to bypass Western economic systems, particularly the dominance of the US dollar and the European energy market. Russia, being a major exporter of oil, gas, and rare minerals, is offering its partners favorable trade agreements, secure energy supplies, and new payment systems independent of Western banks. This could effectively weaken the reach of existing sanctions and create a parallel economic ecosystem, one that runs beyond the control of Washington or Brussels. It's a strategic move that doesn't just protect Russia's economy, it challenges the very structure of global finance. Another layer of surprise came from the precision of timing. Russia waited for the right moment when Western economies were struggling with inflation, energy shortages, and political divisions. By acting now, Moscow maximized its influence while its rivals were distracted. Markets immediately reacted. Oil prices spiked, currency values fluctuated, and investors scrambled to reassess risk in emerging markets. Russia had demonstrated once again that it can influence the world economy not just through conflict, but through calculated political and economic maneuvers. Intelligence agencies across Europe and the US reportedly didn't anticipate such a coordinated move. Their reports focused mostly on Russia's domestic issues and military strategies, not its growing diplomatic efforts abroad. This miscalculation underscores one of Moscow's greatest strengths, unpredictability. While other nations communicate their goals through open policy discussions, Russia thrives on secrecy, surprise, and strategic ambiguity. It plays a different game, one where information control and timing are as powerful as military might. Behind this bold step lies a deeper message from the Kremlin. Russia is not isolated, and it will not be cornered. Despite the efforts to cut it off from global trade and technology, Moscow is proving that it can adapt and find new partners who share its goals of sovereignty and independence. This is more than a geopolitical maneuver. It's a statement of survival and defiance. The implications of this alliance stretch far beyond Moscow's borders. It threatens to divide global trade routes, create new energy dependencies, and alter the world's balance of power for decades to come. Western leaders are now holding emergency meetings seeking ways to counter this unexpected coalition. But the reality is clear. Russia's latest move has already changed the game. The world is entering an era where alliances can form outside traditional power structures, and where influence no longer depends solely on military strength, but on strategic foresight and economic cooperation. Just one move, Russia reminded the world of an old truth: power isn't always displayed through confrontation. Sometimes it's shown through silence, patience, and perfect timing. This calculated step has redefined how the global community views Moscow, forcing even its harshest critics to acknowledge its capability to shape the world stage without firing a single shot. Beyond alliances and economics, the second major aspect of Russia's unexpected move lies in the message it sends to the entire world that the era of unipolar dominance is coming to an end. For years, Western nations, particularly the United States, have maintained global influence through economic power, military reach, and digital control. Russia's latest decision directly challenges that structure, signaling that it no longer intends to play by rules written in Washington or Brussels. This move wasn't about aggression. It was about signaling independence and rewriting the narrative of global power. At the core of this message is Russia's defiance of isolation. Despite sanctions, diplomatic pressure, and efforts to curb its economy, Moscow continues to project confidence. By aligning with new partners and adopting innovative strategies, Russia is demonstrating that it can survive and even thrive without relying on the Western system. This marks a significant shift from defense to offense. The Kremlin no longer seeks acceptance from global powers. Instead, it demands recognition. This transition represents not just a geopolitical stance, but a philosophical one. Russia is defining its role as a sovereign global player that refuses to bow to external influence. The unexpected part of this development is how Russia managed to turn isolation into opportunity. Instead of collapsing under pressure, it used the sanctions era to strengthen domestic industries, build technological self-sufficiency, and expand influence in regions previously ignored by the West. In the fields of defense technology, energy innovation, and agriculture, Russia has begun investing in alternatives that reduce its reliance on foreign systems. This strategic pivot is now paying off. As it reveals its latest global maneuver, Russia stands not as a weakened state, but as a resilient force ready to lead a new kind of power structure, one built on self-reliance and collaboration outside the traditional Western framework. Putin's broader message is also philosophical, that the world should no longer be controlled by a single political or economic ideology. He envisions a multipolar system where nations act based on mutual respect rather than subordination. This idea appeals to many countries that feel overshadowed by Western policies. As a result, Russia's new move resonates beyond its immediate partners. It has sparked curiosity and even sympathy among nations frustrated by global inequality and double standards. Whether it's about energy markets, currency systems, or digital sovereignty, Moscow's latest act challenges the notion that the Western way is the only way forward. The symbolism behind this move is also powerful. By establishing new partnerships and expanding influence in untapped regions, Russia is declaring itself a builder of alternatives, an architect of balance in a world long dominated by one side. It's as if Moscow is saying to the world, we can create a system that works differently, one where every nation's voice matters. This is more than rhetoric, it's a calculated attempt to reshape global perceptions and create space for other rising powers to align with its vision. Western reactions to this have been mixed. Some officials are calling it a provocation, while others see it as a predictable result of years of diplomatic alienation. Emergency discussions have already been held in NATO and the European Union, with leaders analyzing how this new Russian stance could impact defense strategies and energy supplies. The concern isn't only about immediate political outcomes, it's about the long-term shift in influence. If more nations decide to join or cooperate with Russia's new framework, the balance of power that has existed since the end of the Cold War could begin to unravel. This move also underscores Russia's mastery of perception. Rather than focusing solely on military dominance, the Kremlin is waging an ideological and psychological campaign, one that targets the global narrative itself. In the digital era, influence isn't just about territory, it's about shaping beliefs, ideas, and confidence. By positioning itself as the voice of resistance against Western dominance, Russia is winning hearts and minds in regions where anti-Western sentiment has long simmered. But perhaps the most profound impact of this development lies in what it represents for the future. Russia's move signals the beginning of a new chapter in world politics, one that could either bring balance or deepen divisions. For the first time in decades, global power is no longer flowing in one direction. The rules are changing and Russia is helping to rewrite them. Whether this leads to cooperation or confrontation remains uncertain. But what's undeniable is that the world will never operate under the same assumptions again. In the end, Russia's latest decision was more than a political maneuver. It was a declaration that power is shifting, that global order is evolving, and that the age of one dominant voice is fading. The message from Moscow is loud and clear. The world must adapt to a new reality, one where Russia stands not as a challenger, but as an architect of the next era of global power.